Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you are new. Hello, my name is V. I post nail tutorials every Thursday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Central Time. Getting right into today's video, as you can tell by the packaging and the title of today's video, I am doing a review on the Anacrylics acrylic line. I went ahead and ordered 2 of her collections as you guys have been requesting this video for a while now. So here I'm just showing you kind of what comes in the packaging. She has a little thank you card and she adds little charms in there for the collection. So I think it's super cute. Now I love her packaging. I will say right off the bat, I do not like that we can't see the color on the outside, but that's not really an issue if you memorize all the names. We're starting off with the color chocolate. It is the perfect chocolate color, and of course you guys already know I had to purchase this collection because I love my browns and nudes. Next we are swatching caramel, and just for reference I am using the not polished acrylic brush in a size 12 and their acrylic monomer as well. This one is so pretty. I love all the color nudes. This one kind of reminds me of Teddy Bear from Kiara's Sky.
I guess it's for the best, you know the worst in me.
Now we have mocha. This is going to be a super rich dark brown. And of course, always take in mind that colors do look different against different skin tones. Next we have hazelnut, which is my favorite flavor of coffee. Just thought I'd throw that in there, but it's a really pretty light, kind of peachy nude color. And then we got vanilla. I will say I was very impressed with this color. It is honestly the perfect vanilla color in my opinion. It's almost a little bit on the milky side, which I am absolutely obsessed with. Now here's a quick little close-up. This is her chocolate collection. Super pretty, perfect for the fall time, you guys. Now, of course, I'm swatching the fall collection. This one comes with 8 different powders. We have the color Sage right off the bat. Such a pretty sage color. I feel like this one is my favorite from this collection. It's a really pretty muted green, which I will be using very soon. Now we got the color Wine. Such a pretty deep red. This is going to be really good for maroon colored nails, especially around Christmas time. You know, it's coming up, so it's going to be a perfect color. Now we have Honey, and this one is super vibrant. I love that they are super pigmented, and you can see how rich the color is, which I am loving. Next we have Royal. This one is a very deep purple, but it shows up a little bit more on the blue side. But in person, I feel like it definitely pulled more purple than blue. Now we got Dulce. And this one is kind of a honey mustard feel. A nice muted yellow, which is going to be perfect for some sunflower nails. And now we have Forest. This is a more vibrant green. Of course, you can see that Sage is a lot more muted. This is going to be more of a true green, kind of perfect for Christmas time. We have Nightshade, and this one is a very vibrant purple. I love this purple. I don't think I have a purple like this in my collection, so I'm very excited to add that to it. Now we have Spice. This one is going to be a little bit more on the orange side in comparison to the other yellows, and I love the variety of them. Again, super rich and pigmented, which I love when it comes to acrylic powders. Now, of course, a quick little close-up so you guys can really appreciate all the colors, and I am obsessed with the variety. The colors are super rich, pigmented, super opaque, which I absolutely love, and the color selection I feel like is spot on for the fall and chocolate collection. Now, before we get into our acrylic application, I am prepping my practice hand with the C-curve tips from Not Polish. These are the coffin ones. They do have the stiletto ones available and the square ones. But for today's video, I chose the coffin ones. I've been loving those recently. They give such a perfect shape. They are full sculpted and the C-curve is so perfect in my opinion. I love that no matter how short you cut them, they still give you a true coffin shape. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly apply that to my practice hand with the Young Nails brush on glue and just making sure that I'm pressing that in firmly until it is dry. Now very quickly, I'm going to be trimming these nails using my nail tip cutters. I, of course, love long nails, so today's video is not going to be the exception. We are going to just very lightly trim those tips. And then I am going to be taking my hand file. This is the Tammy Taylor Peel and Stick file. And just very quickly filing the sides, making sure that they are nice and flush to the natural nail. This is extremely important, especially when working on clients. Now, before we get into the review portion of today's video, I did want to go ahead and make a quick little disclaimer. Everything that you will be hearing in the next portion of the video is solely based off of my personal experience, my personal opinion, and my personal preference when it comes to working with products. I am basing it solely based off of every other product that I have used and what I prefer to work with. So make sure you take that in mind when you listen to my reasons on whether the product is good or not. If you've watched any of my other review videos, you will know that I am fully transparent and I want to be 100% real with you guys, and I will not recommend a product that I fully would not use myself. That being said, we are getting into our acrylic application. I am using the Not Polish acrylic brush in a size 12. Along with that, I'm using their acrylic monomer as well. This may or may not affect the product application. I'm not quite sure. But from my personal experience, I have found that the Not Polish acrylic monomer is pretty universal and I've used it very well with every other brand that I use in my salon. So I am carefully taking the chocolate color from her chocolate collection and I'm just applying that at the tip. Now, right off the bat, you will notice that the colors are extremely pigmented. This, for the most part, will make the product a lot more chalky versus if they're not super pigmented and opaque. So one way that I like judging a product on whether I like it or not is by how well it blends for an ombre, especially and specifically when using the nude colors. Now, when working with products that are extremely opaque and pigmented, it is going to be a lot harder to create the ombre effect. Now, I did want to go ahead and point out that I have worked with products like this before in the past, and because I am familiar with it, it's not that big of a deal for me. However, if you are a beginner nail tech, you may struggle a lot more than with other products that are a lot easier to blend. Now, also because they are very rich and pigmented, you'll be able to notice that there are tiny little dots of pigment left behind, especially right there where I'm trying to blend the product. Now, I've come across tons of different products that have this effect. However, the amount of pigment that you see when applying the acrylic is very far and in between. I want to say one of my Kiara Sky powders did the exact same thing and I just went ahead and blended it out and everything else was fine. However, with these, it's extremely pigmented. So I'm not quite sure if it was the pigment to powder ratio was kind of off and that's why you have so much dotting left from it. So that's just kind of my observation on it. This color that I'm using on the ring finger was absolutely fine. It is a lot more dry, which just means you have to add a little bit more wetness to your brush to be able to work with it. But once adding a little bit more of the monomer onto your brush, you can see that the powder is very gently kind of spreading out on its own and it looks very blendable and a lot easier to work with. So always take that in mind when you are using chalky or very pigmented acrylics. You want to go ahead and compensate for that with a little bit more monomer. Now, another thing that I did want to mention in the review was the consistency or inconsistency of the formula throughout the different colors that I used. So what I mean by that is typically whenever you purchase a brand's acrylic, they are going to formulate all of their powders to be exactly the same. They are going to apply the same. They're going to essentially work the same no matter what color you pick to use. Now, that being said, with these acrylic powders, I did notice that it was a little bit more on the inconsistent side because, for example, with the chocolate color that I used on the pinky, it was definitely more chalky, and you can even see whenever I lay the product down, it's a little bit harder to blend out and just all around a little bit more of a difficult color to work with. When I used caramel, which is the one that I used to ombre and the one on the ring finger, that one was slightly chalky. However, it was a lot more manageable than the chocolate color. And now as you can see me apply the one on the middle finger, this one is called hazelnut. I place it on the nail and it just looks and blends a lot easier. You can tell by me placing the bead on there that it is a blendable product. So I'm not quite sure if it's the amount of pigment that was mixed into the acrylic powder or what it was. But personally, I feel like this one is a lot more blendable than the other two colors that I used. It reminded me a ton of the Kiara Sky powders because their formula is extremely opaque and pigmented, but super easy to blend. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an example of what I mean. Now, again, I'm taking the chocolate color. We're going to be creating the ombre on the index finger again. And as you can see me place that small bead of acrylic, it just is really hard to kind of move around without really dragging the product where I want it to go. I like to use a light tapping motion when I'm working with powders and kind of just move the finger and move the product slowly down and essentially let it work on its own while I'm just kind of directing it where I want it to go. With this one, you absolutely have to use like brush stroke motions and really blend it out, and then you'll be able to get it to go where you want it to go. So again, I'm taking the caramel color and I'm placing that, trying to blend that out. And then I'm just adding back in some of that chocolate color to try to blend it out a little bit more. But then again, as you can see, the little dots of pigment being left behind. I'm not fully mad at that. It kind of gives a different ombre look and it still looks really good. However, if you want a super blended ombre, this is definitely not going to be the good choice of product to use for that. Now at this point, the ombre didn't look bad. It looked pretty good in my opinion, being that, you know, the pigment is kind of showing through. But I did realize that the ombre on the index finger was a lot lower than the one I created on the pinky. So I was like, you know what? I will just bring it back up. Typically what I do whenever I'm doing clients or my own nails. Well, the color is so rich and pigmented that it just wouldn't blend. So I went ahead and tried blending it up and I was like, no biggie. I'll go in with a lighter color once again and kind of blend that out again, which did help a lot. But I should have just left it as it was and not tried messing with it It was really hard to try to get that diluted and really blended out in that area. I feel like I should have just left it how it was, but I went ahead again. I took a little bit more of that light color and tried to blend it out a little bit. You can still see a lot of that dotting created from the pigment, but it definitely looks a lot better than what I had originally done. So now I'm going to be taking my clear acrylic from Nail Polish. I'm using this on the pinky and the index finger. When creating nail art or ombre nails, you want to make sure you are fully protecting that work you just created, and do not file it once I go into file. Now we're going to be quickly filing the surface of the nail with my unicorn Efile from Kiara Sky. I have her at a speed of about 9,000 to 10,000 RPMs. Along with that, I'm using my 5-in-1 bit from Kiara Sky as well in medium grit, color rose gold, but they do have tons of other color options. Now I'm going in very lightly and just filing the surface of the nail. Again, I always try to apply my acrylic as neat and smooth as possible. However, you still want to go in and file. You want to make sure that that cuticle area is nice and flush to the natural nail. And then make sure you remove any ridges that you may have created with a product or your brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly finish that off. I'm taking my hand file once again, filing the sides, making sure that the shape is nice and perfect. I go in from the left to the right, right to the left, making sure that those sides are equally filed. And then we're going to be flipping the hand around to look at the nails from the client's perspective and make sure that everything is nice and perfect. Now, especially for beginner nail techs that are just looking to get into doing nails or add to their collection of acrylics, I feel like price point is a deciding factor on whether you should purchase a product or not. So I am going to be mentioning kind of my reasoning whether or not you should purchase this product from a beginner standpoint or point of view. Now, I have talked about it before on my channel, how important it is to honestly work with what you have until you are able to make the investment for higher end products. I specifically started off using Glam and Glitz, and if you guys are familiar with Glam and Glitz products, they are a little bit more on the chalky side, extremely pigmented and opaque, which I use till this day for backfills and all that good stuff. You want a more pigmented color for that. However, the price point for that product was a lot lower than the Anacrylics products. Now, overall, the product is pretty good. The color variety is amazing. I'm obsessed with the color choices. The product application is not the greatest. Do I think it's the worst? Absolutely not. But if I were to be purchasing products for the color selection, I would absolutely try to find something a lot more affordable than her price point. Now, very quickly, I'm taking my sponge buffer from Profiles Backstage, and I'm going to buff the surface of the nail, making it the perfect surface for some nail art that we're going to be creating. I'm taking a lint-free wipe and some Young Nail Swipe and just quickly cleaning the surface of my nails and the practice hand. And I'm going to be creating some really pretty cute pumpkin design for the ring finger. For this portion, I am using the Profiles Backstage Fall Collection Liner Kits. I am taking the pumpkin spice color, I believe it's called, from that collection, and I am using that for the background of our pumpkin. So I'm just starting off by doing a small portion of the top of a pumpkin and very easily kind of just doing like a heart shaped at the top, and then just infilling the rest of the area using that liner to easily create that. We're gonna be infilling it and then popping that in the light for a full minute. You wanna make sure you fully cure it because like I've mentioned before, these are extremely pigmented colors and you need to make sure it's fully cured. So now I'm taking my nail art brush from Makartt. These are linked in my Amazon storefront. And I am taking that same orange color that we used for the pumpkin and I mixed it with the color Latte. And I just mixed that together to kind of create a little bit more of a dark orange for those lines. Again, curing that in the light for a full minute before we go in with the other colors. Now I'm taking cream from that collection and we are going to be making another pumpkin, again kind of like a heart shape up top, and then we're just rounding it out and infilling that area. And then once we're done coloring that in, essentially we are going to cure that in the light for another minute. Once that is out of the light, I'm taking my liner brush once again and I'm actually using the dark brown color from the liners, and I'm going to be going over top of the light brown one and just kind of outlining it once again to really bring that nail art to life. Now we're going to be creating some cheetah leopard, I don't even know which one it is called, on the lighter pumpkin. So I'm taking that pumpkin color and just doing random dots throughout that pumpkin. And then we're going to be adding the little details in with the dark brown color. And of course, don't forget to cure every layer whenever you feel it is necessary. Now very quickly, we're going to be doing the outline using the color Latte once again, and then we're going to be doing the lines on the pumpkin as well. Again, cure that in the light before you go in with your other layers of colors. You want to make sure you put that in there for a full minute.
Show love. Ooh, take it back to when nobody used to know me. Like tell you I was just chilling with my homies. Now that we're popping, everybody is talking. This is for my day ones. Don't forget the ones I made, yeah.
Now I'm just going in with the Spice color from this collection and adding in tiny little details. And then we're going to be popping that in the light again for a full minute before we go in with our top coat. You want to make sure every single layer is fully cured. Now I'm going in with my top coat. This is Matte from Not Polish for today's look. And then of course we're popping that in the light once again for a full minute. But that basically concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a ton. Make sure to comment below what other products you would like for me to review. And I'll see you guys next time.
This is for my day one, day one. Izquierda pa derecha, dale bien paga. Yo quiero que tú bailes, dale sin parar. Todo mundo, hey, quiero vacilar. Shake it, and I'll throw it right back.